Well, welcome to Exhaust Sports Auto. I am proud to present the E55 AMG Mercedes-Benz W210 for you guys today. Special thanks to Cary Imports for allowing me to do this review for you guys. It's a very special car. They get a lot of cool cars like this to review. I believe this is actually the cheapest one in the country, at least from a dealership anyway, at a touch under $5,000. So Tavares, Doug DeMiro, Hoovies, any of you guys want to crack at the cheapest E55 AMG? Well, here you have it. This is actually in a pretty immaculate condition, if I don't say so myself, but I'm going to leave all the dealership information down in the description box below. Garrett and everybody else here, absolutely amazing to work with. I really appreciate them for this opportunity. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at that intro. Well, setting off in the 2002 Mercedes-Benz W210 E55 AMG. This is a special treat for you guys. But first of all, I'm just going to start off with the exterior. This car looks absolutely stunning, and I can see why this thing is like a future classic for the most part. You know, if you didn't know, prices on these things are kind of going up. For cleaner examples like 40, 50,000 miles, they're fetching like over 20 G's. Yeah, so this is a very sought after vehicle. A lot of that has to do with the looks because this is a very unique looking vehicle. You know, it's a pretty special looking car. There's nothing else really like it. Mercedes doesn't really follow a design language like this anymore, that's for sure. And you know, you're pretty much Carmelo Soprano in here, except cooler because it's an E55 and it's a sedan, so it's a little bit cooler. Also, these monoblock wheels are fantastic. I mean, that's making a comeback also, like the new GT Benz or something like that is bringing that back. So very cool to see that. So a gorgeous looking car, but you can decide for yourself on the looks of this car. You may love it or hate it, whatever. This isn't about that. This is a special car and it's going to be a special review. I'm going to be talking about the driving dynamics now. And the first thing is the brakes. They work pretty well. A little bit spongy, but they're working even after all these years. This is a surprisingly smooth vehicle. I mean, after all of these years, I was expecting this to be like juddering and shaking, but this surprisingly feels really solid actually. The prices of these are going up, and why is that? I mean, this is kind of like the last of an era for Mercedes. Like, this is like that last like solid vehicle. They don't really make anything like this anymore with kind of reliability in mind, if you know what I mean. But this is an AMG, so oh my gosh, like the highlight of these AMGs is obviously the engine. Now, this is a, I believe, 5.4 liter engine, a V8, naturally aspirated. The next gen after this went to a supercharger. This is still naturally aspirated, and that's a lot of the reason why it's still reliable. But my gosh, this thing pulls extremely well. 349 horsepower and 391 pounds-feet of torque. Those are legitimate numbers like for today's standards, and it still pulls almost like what those numbers would suggest. It's really rather good, and you know, it's made it to this 5-speed automatic, and all of it works extremely well. I've heard maybe that this 5-speed could be a little bit sluggish, however, not from my experience. This is actually shifting pretty good, comparable to even today's automatics, to be completely honest. More importantly, I'm just surprised at just how smooth this thing is. Gosh, if I had the $5 to blow, I mean, I would probably buy this myself, but man, this thing just gets up and moves better than most brand new cars do. That's really totally shocking, and gosh, it's so comfortable in here, just like how you would expect out of a Mercedes-Benz. Jesus Christ, I think I want this thing. I mean, for the most part, everything works aside from a stupid lamp in the back or something like that. Otherwise, everything just works perfectly in here. It rides well. It's really rather refined. It's almost like the perfect car, to be honest. I went over those railroad tracks and Jesus Christ, it was more comfortable than my Genesis G80 was. It's just soaking up all the bumps. I mean, All the dials are working right now. Steering feel is really rather direct. I mean, there's some body roll in it, but really that's not half bad. Not even any tire chirp. Wow. I'm impressed. I am genuinely very impressed with this. Yeah, this is a superb driving experience. It truly is. One that, you know, I'm sure this thing was probably closing in at like 100 grand. And I mean, it really does feel like it. Like this, it does everything that you would ever expect, even like a modern day performance sedan to do, to be comfortable, to be quick. Other than like these slightly spongy brakes, which probably could easily be fixed, this is a pretty much perfect driving experience, which I can't believe I'm saying that about a nearly 2-decade-old car. Surprisingly very nimble. I mean, what I heard was, you know, back in the day, you know, this is obviously the main competitor to this was the M5, and this car actually weighed about 400 pounds less than like the E39 M5 or whatever. Also, it seemed to even outhandle that M5 as well. I mean, this car weighs about 3,700 pounds. That's really not bad for a, you know, mid-sized luxury sedan. You know, leather seats, plenty of tech, features, all that stuff, even for the time. More importantly, it just has a great dynamic too. I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, this is a E-Class kind of mid-sized luxury sedan, so it's going to come with that double wishbone suspension, multi-link suspension in the rear, so it's got a quality suspension setup that you can equate a lot of that to the reason why it handles so well. And being an older car, it's an absolute like fishbowl in here, so easy to see out of. It's not like the new cars from today where you have like these huge seat pillars and such, and like these raked roof lines. It's really easy to see out of this thing. A truly rewarding driving experience. There's an excellent charm to this. Like I said, you know, this thing was probably featured in, you know, movies and things of that nature. And it's just got so much swagger to this car. Like, and the fact that you can have these cars so cheap now and they're relatively reliable. I'll touch on that, you know, in the interior segment. But these things are obtainable. They work pretty well. 200,000 miles, you wouldn't even know it. I think there's like one creak or rattle coming from like the back near like the trunk area, but other than that, this is a lot more solid feeling than most cars. And again, you're driving a Benz here and it feels great. It's like understated luxury, but you got this big Benz logo sticking out of the like that little hood ornament right there. You feel like an absolute boss whipping this thing around. It doesn't feel its age at all. I mean, until you start looking at some of these interior components, but even that has a great charm to it and just really rewarding, man. I'm loving this car. If I had the 5Gs to blow, oh my gosh, this would be mine in a heartbeat. This is amazing, and I can see why these things are going up in value. The performance, relatively decent reliability for what this is, comfortable, quiet, refined. It's everything you could ever ask for, really, in an automobile, and what a package. This is truly a stunning experience. I'm really happy to have had this opportunity, I swear. So with that, guys, let's get into the interior and see what that's all about. Well, climbing inside of the E55 AMG, and my gosh, this is such a fantastic interior space, and I'll tell you why. Everything in here works, and actually the first time I got in it and I started it up, the first thing that happened was it blew cold air into my face, blowing it very hard, and that's just amazing. I feel like I'm in like a Toyota that's done 200,000 miles. I am not like stressed out sitting in it. Granted, it's not my car, but I just have this confidence in me that everything in here just works. And you know, that's just not something you typically get from a lot of Mercedes products. This thing, I mean, it's done over 200,000 miles. I mean, that's got to account for something. I mean, that should show you that, you know, if you treat a car right, it'll treat you right. And I mean, this is one of the more simplistic Mercedes cars. This is kind of like that last AMG product that you can actually buy and obtain, and it's not over the top ridiculous. It's really something that you can actually maintain and take care of. There's a lot of aftermarket parts and stuff that you can put on here if something does go wrong with it. It's really not too bad. It's something that you can genuinely enjoy, and there's literally no like actual creaks and rattles. It's actually put together more solid than even some brand new cars. There's just legitimately nothing to complain about, and the overall design of this cabin, you know, it's completely different from anything that you're typically used to, especially from Japanese cars. Everything's in kind of a different location. I mean, all the seat controls here are up here, actually. There's even some memory seats in this car. This is granted a very expensive car when it came out, and this has a lot of fantastic features you won't even find in new cars, so that's great. And all All the light controls are actually right here where your left knee is, so that's pretty cool. The key, I'll turn the car off for you. This is the key. It looks like almost like a brand new key, actually, like what you would find with the new Mercedes products. The little actual key thing in here is actually missing. I don't know if the dealer guys have it, but you know, it's actually a pretty nice key, especially for the age. So that's pretty nice. These seats are supremely comfortable. They are so soft and supple. I love these. Just a fantastic leather quality of these. They've held up. There's no rips or tears in it at all. Just some slight wrinkles, which obviously you're going to get with leather over the years. So that's excellent. This steering wheel, it doesn't look very special, however it works, and that's what matters with this. Nice leather wrapped, of course. The size of it is also excellent. You just have a great seating position, and it's very ergonomic in that matter. Anybody should be able to get into this and feel very comfortable. There's tons of headroom, knee room, leg room, all that stuff. Not an issue with this, and obviously you can adjust that for yourself. There is a sunroof in here as well. And I'll take you guys inside to show you the rest of the interior features. Start this bad boy up. Starts right up, no real issues. These are the gauges right here. You know, Mercedes-Benz got to be a little bit unique. It doesn't just say 1, 2, 3, 4 for the tag. It says 10, 20, 30. Actually, when I was cruising down here, doing like 45, 50 miles per hour, it was right under 1,500 RPM. It is so smooth. It idles smooth. Love it. There's really nothing wrong with this thing mechanically. All the gauges seem to be working just fine. Actually, there's this little helper screen here, and this is the malfunction I was talking to you guys about. The check lamps, that's literally the only thing that's actually wrong with this car. It's pretty unbelievable, but you can use this to flip through the your helper screen here. So it shows you the miles and stuff like that, some of the service history, and like a digital speedometer, so that's pretty cool. There's actually supposed to be like a telephone in here, but I think it's missing, or maybe the dealer guys have it, I'm not sure, but that's pretty cool. As you can see, that's kind of like that whole contraption there for it. And just this overall you know, the simplicity of this, I love this. You're just not going to find this in any other era. I mean, this is really it. You're just not going to find this in the modern day, just how simplistic it is. There's nothing buried in the menus here. You got a little infotainment screen. I'll touch on that in a bit, but you know, nothing's really buried in here that's important, like something crucial like this. Like all your HVAC is right here, simple, laid out, easy to use. Like these nice solid physical buttons, love all of that. The wood quality is excellent, just like similar to what I have in my Lexus, to be honest. You got this nice shifter. I mean, no digital shifter, none of that nonsense. All your window switches are actually right here, not actually on the door. And what's interesting is that all your windows are actually automatic, except for the driver one for some reason. It doesn't just roll all the way down, but every single one of these switches works, and that's a huge testament to this car. This is actually the trunk release button right here. You control your mirrors here, and your electronic sunshade button is right here. Very pimp feature. I love that. I have this in my LS. One of the best luxury car features ever. But here's your little infotainment. The audio system actually doesn't sound too terrible, to be honest, but that's, you know, that's really whatever. The most important thing is that this thing still works, and you can actually still get, like, you can probably replace this with like a Pioneer head unit or something like that. I mean, gosh, this is just such a fantastic car. Everything in here is like all original. Just a fantastic vehicle, honestly. But that's pretty much a highlight of the interior. Let's go ahead and take a look at that back seat and see what that's all about. So inside the rear, the comfort continues. These leather seats, they're fantastic, and you got so much space back here, actually. Headroom and legroom. I mean, this seat is set to my position. Just fantastic. I mean, it's just a great place to be. And you know, if this car is amazing like today, like right now, imagine how great this thing was when it first came out. Gosh, I mean, it's a fantastic car. You even have HVAC in the rear here. It does work. You can feel the AC coming through. You got a nice little pockets here for the rear. A little ashtray right here because you're going to be an absolute pimp. And your window switches are actually like right here. A very interesting position. But I think what I really love about this is that the doors actually, like when you slam them shut, they still feel very solid in here, and that's really excellent quality. That just, you know, if you moved up in a couple of years in Mercedes-Benz's lineup, you're really not going to get the same level of quality, I don't think. Well, I'll show you some other cool things. You got this little armrest right here. You put this thing down. You have no way to get inside. There's no pass-through for the trunk, but whatever. You have these little cup holders and a little tray here. So that's pretty nice. You know, like I said, leather seats, very, very nice, supportive. And you have these headrests that, you know, can go up or down, depending on how you like, and obviously the sunshade, of course. But that's pretty much it for the rear space here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that trunk now. So finally at the trunk here, very cavernous. However, I have to mention, I have the key here and I try to press this button to open it. It doesn't seem to like that, but there's a switch inside of the car. That's really the only way I've been able to get in. Obviously, like I said, this part of the key is actually missing, so I can't just plop in the key and open it up that way. But however, once you do have it open, extremely cavernous space, almost like a big body car size of a trunk, like an S-Class or something like that. Very cavernous. You shouldn't have any problems fitting your things back here. I think there's like a magazine slot for CDs and things of that nature. Extremely nice cavernous car, interior and the trunk area, so storage should not be an issue back here. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the final conclusions. So after spending some time with this bad boy right here, what do I think? Well, I kind of already told you what I think. I kind of want this thing, but I can't because I don't have any space or any money. So, but if you do have like 5 Gs laying around, there you are. It's just pretty much a perfect car. Some cosmetic glitches here and there. However, it's truly a remarkable piece of engineering. It's really held up to the test of time extremely well, almost like a Toyota or a Lexus would, to be honest. And this is an AMG. This is an E55, for God's sake. I mean, this thing will outrun cars today even. I mean, this is extraordinary power. Maybe not the loudest, maybe not, you know, the brashiest of cars like it is today, you know, with the AMG products. However, it's got a great engine tone coming out as a V8. It's naturally aspirated. If you moved up a couple of years, you're going to find yourself in a supercharged E55 AMG, and that's where you're going to run into some reliability issues. This is kind of the last AMG product where you can actually buy it, own it, and maybe even see some appreciation with it. A superb car for 200,000 miles. I mean, and to get it for like 5 Gs or less, wow, that's quite the proposition, honestly, because everything on it works. As you just saw, it drives amazing, it handles great, it pulls really well. I think it still looks fantastic, to be honest. This is aged extremely well. And you know, part of the reason why this thing is kind of appreciating in value is the looks. I mean, that's kind of what gives it this classic car nature, to be honest. You know, these headlights, the hood ornament, and like the rear, these monoblock wheels, all of it is such a great combination that still could demand some attention today, honestly. The interior is extremely comfortable. All the electronics seem to be working. Even the infotainment, I mean, there's honestly not any real creaks and rattles. It's extremely spacious. I mean, there's not enough good things that I could say about this car. Now, going into this, I was absolutely shocked. I didn't think I would like it this much. It doesn't shake or rattle, honestly, when I'm driving the thing. Only time is when I was on the brakes a little bit, it kind of shook a little bit, but that could be just some warped rotors or something like that. It's really not a big deal. Otherwise, it was such a smooth, silky smooth driving experience. There you have it. I mean, just buy the thing. I mean, if you're interested in this car, this particular car, I'm at Cary Imports, and once again, shout out to them. I really appreciate them giving me this opportunity to review this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at the W210 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG. So with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care. Goodbye.